In the heart of winter, amidst frozen ruins where time itself seemed suspended, one city became the center of the world's fate. Stalingrad was not just a battleground. It was an absolute test of human resilience, a crucible of strategy, and a stark lesson in survival. It was here, in this shattered city, that the unwavering confidence of Europe's greatest military machine began to crumble, swallowed by rubble and ice. The battle for Stalingrad would redefine the very nature of modern warfare and permanently alter the course of the Second World War. In the early 1940s, Europe was under the shadow of an expansionist force, advancing with terrifying speed toward the east. The campaign appeared unstoppable, a masterclass in mechanized warfare. Each conquered city, each fallen nation, reinforced a growing myth of absolute superiority. The objective was clear: secure the resources of the East and deliver a decisive blow. Stalingrad, however, was not just another point on the map. It was an industrial heart, a logistical artery, a powerful political symbol bearing the name of the enemy's leader. Controlling this city meant dominating the vital transport routes of the Volga River and the Caucasus oil fields. More than that, it was a chance to humiliate an opponent on a global stage, to break their spirit by capturing a city that embodied their national identity. The advance was swift, confident, and relentless. The world watched, holding its breath. As the seemingly invincible army marched toward the city that would ultimately become its graveyard, as the ominous advance drew closer, Stalingrad transformed itself. It was no longer just a city of civilians. It became a fortress forged in urgency and defiance. Factories that once produced tractors now churned out tanks and munitions, their walls becoming improvised strongholds. Ordinary citizens, men and women alike, dug anti-tank ditches and fortified buildings. Basements turned into crowded shelters, and every street, every alley, every window was meticulously planned as a line of resistance. The order from the high command was simple and brutal: resist. Not for days, not for weeks, but for as long as necessary. There would be no retreat. Every square meter of land was to be contested. This was not a defense of territory alone. It was a defense of an idea, a last stand where the entire city braced itself for an unprecedented level of destruction, prepared to fight to the last person. Stalingrad did not follow any known rules of warfare. Once the fighting entered the city limits, conventional military doctrine dissolved into chaos. There were no clear fronts, no safe rear lines. The battle became a brutal, intimate struggle fought not over miles, but over inches. Every building, every staircase, every pile of rubble became a fiercely contested space. A single apartment block could change hands a dozen times in a single day. The fighting was so close that soldiers could hear the enemy breathing through the walls. This merciless urban combat completely neutralized the invaders' primary advantages. Their superior tanks and air power were rendered ineffective in the narrow, debris-choked streets. The city, with its labyrinth of ruins, swallowed their speed, their logistics, and their predictability. It became a meat grinder, a relentless war of attrition where tactical genius was measured by the ability to survive another hour in a hellish landscape. Then, winter arrived. It came not as a strategic maneuver, but as an impartial force of nature. When the infamous Russian cold descended upon the steppe, it chose no side. But only one army was truly prepared for its unforgiving embrace. For the invaders equipped for a swift summer campaign, the winter was a catastrophe. Temperatures plummeted to unimaginable lows. Engines froze solid, weapons jammed, and frostbite claimed more casualties than bullets. The extreme climate paralyzed their already strained supply lines, turning a difficult situation into an impossible one. It exhausted the troops, sapping their physical strength and shattering the morale of men who had been promised a quick, glorious victory. The vast, snow-covered plains that surrounded the city became an icy prison, isolating the once mighty army and turning their greatest strength mobility into a fatal weakness. Winter had become a silent, devastating ally for the city's defenders. While the world watched and believed Stalingrad was on the brink of collapse, a silent, audacious strategy was taking shape far from the city's smoking ruins. The Soviet high command was planning something far more ambitious than a simple defense. The plan was not to meet the enemy in a frontal assault, but to let them bleed inside the city, while a massive force gathered on the flanks. It was a strategy of grand deception and encirclement. Codenamed Operation Uranus, the plan involved a massive two-pronged attack aimed at cutting off the invaders' supply routes and trapping the entire army inside the city. They would isolate, contain, and then annihilate. As the pincer movement began, the invaders' confidence, born from years of unchecked victory, quickly turned into disbelief and then into sheer panic. The hunters had become the hunted, caught in a steel trap of their own making. The successful encirclement marked the beginning of the end. Stalingrad was more than a catastrophic military defeat. It was the shattering of a powerful myth. The aura of invincibility that had surrounded the German war machine for years was broken, decisively and publicly. For the first time, an entire field army, the pride of the Reich, was not just defeated but utterly destroyed. From that moment on, the strategic initiative on the Eastern Front shifted permanently. The war machine that once seemed perfect, that had conquered a continent, began a long, bloody retreat that would end in Berlin. The impact was not just military, it was profoundly psychological, political, and global. It gave hope to allied nations and sowed doubt within the Axis powers. The name Stalingrad echoed around the world as a symbol that the tide of the war had finally, irrevocably turned. Today, the legacy of Stalingrad endures as a powerful testament to the human spirit and the dynamics of history. The battle taught the world a timeless lesson: no force, no matter how powerful, is invincible. It demonstrated that superior strategy, unwavering resilience, and the ability to adapt to brutal conditions can overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. The city now known as Volgograd rose from its ashes, but it never forgot its past. Modern monuments stand alongside the haunting skeletons of ruined buildings, preserved as a permanent reminder of the sacrifice. Stalingrad became more than just a historical event. It transformed into a universal symbol of perseverance, a turning point where a city's defiance not only saved a nation, but changed the course of world history forever. Its story is a solemn reminder of the cost of conflict and the extraordinary capacity of people to endure the unimaginable. Among ruins, cold, and a profound silence, Stalingrad redefined the fate of the Second World War. It was the place where an unstoppable advance met an immovable object. It was not just a city that resisted, it was history itself that was forced to change its direction in a battle that will be remembered as long as stories of courage and sacrifice are told. If this documentary helped you understand one of the most decisive moments in world history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. This greatly supports our work and allows more stories like this to continue being told.
Thank you for watching.